Good morning. Welcome to the second day of Eminent 2025. When does AI make sense in schools? How are you doing today? Okay, yes, I see a lot of energy actually. Very good. You will need it. It's Friday, so we have extra motivation. Of course, we have a relatively easy agenda. You will go through all the sessions with ease and pleasure, I'm sure. And we'll try also to add a few more components and perspectives into the topics that we are addressing. So we'll see from a professional perspective, professional development perspective, how to move forward with this in this domain. We'll also have another keynote about the explainable AI, and we'll also close with some experiences and practices from teachers and students, to which we are very grateful. And we asked to you one simple question yesterday, and here you have also the link to all the results that I must say that were quite telling. And most of you really kind of focus on the pedagogical integration and the pedagogical aspects of the use of AI in schools, which was to be expected, but also a lot focus on the support that AI can provide the teacher, the empowerment of students, as you saw, a tool really for students to act upon, and of course many ethical consideration and other aspects. I know that I'm asking a lot, but if you were to answer this question now, after the full day of yesterday, would your answer change? Have you had any enlightening moments during yesterday or at dinner? That's probably also where it sparked everything that you were digesting. If you did change your mind a bit, you can of course also paste it there, and we would love to hear if something has changed, if something has been produced in your mind in the past 24 hours. And as you see, I'm standing with a microphone. So again, I'm asking for a volunteer, somebody that would like to say a word about something that they realized yesterday or tonight or this morning. Any brave soul that would like to spare the others the embarrassment to speak up? Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Otherwise, I will pick up somebody randomly. No, nobody? I would like to quote Olli-Pekka quote yesterday, there's no learning without effort. So I thought, let's put some effort into the group right from the start. Oh, I should really pick somebody, okay. Try to see somebody. Colin. We had a nice conversation yesterday.
Feels like my brain's not in gear. I think it's the humanity side that was picked up on in the keynote, absolutely. Trying to get the human response, talking about the clammy palms and the sensory side. That's a huge takeaway. Yep.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to build on that? Okay, I will spare you. Fine. If you want to add a few thoughts over during the conference, please do use this code, and we will then of course try also to compare, and hopefully we'll see also a difference between the answer that came in yesterday. I may want just to note a few that were very interesting to me, rather more original answers that we collected. You saw AI as a sparring partner in your education practice and exploration, which seemed very interesting. There was a lot of thoughts about really the reality checks that you would not want to have, of course, with the context when you enter in schools and in ministries, and you see how all that we discuss in theory kind of translated in practice. And certainly it will be also the task for today part of the conference, and there was also some comments about the need for better networking and connection between the actors and the need to listen to each other more. It's true that sometimes we might work a bit in different silos, and we keep the conversation a bit more contextual to the type of organization we represent. So I hope the event like this really help on that sense as well. Now we have another intervention from the European Commission, from the DG Education, DG Connect, which is the other DG with whom we, of course, collaborate very intensively. So we are pleased to welcome, of course, a video message from Rehanna Schwininger-Ladak, who is Head of Unit of Interactive Technologies, Digital Culture and Education at the European Commission. Since people are also following us online and following the live, perhaps Rehanna is also following the conference, I would like to ask you for an applause, welcoming virtually Rehanna on stage. Thank you very much.
Dear participants, dear organizers, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak in this conference. My name is Rehanna Schwininger-Ladak, and I'm the Deputy Director for Data and the Head of Unit in charge of Advanced Digital Skills at the European Commission. Unfortunately, I could not join you in Madrid, but I'm very happy to send you this video message. Let me start by emphasizing how critical this topic is and how urgent it is to discuss it, because we are speaking about educating future generations in an increasingly technology-driven world. AI, and especially Gen AI, has now a pervasive impact on every aspect of human activity, and education is naturally impacted. So it is a phenomenon which needs continuous critical examination. And forums such as the one today allows all stakeholders involved, that is teachers, educators, education institutions, policymakers at all levels, to put it on our collective agenda and to fuel this examination with new ideas and perspectives. When does AI make sense in school? The title of this conference poses a timely pedagogical interrogation. And I'm sure that the diverse discussion angles in this conference will lead to compelling conclusions, which can contribute to shaping important policy initiatives. The theme of AI may lend itself to different approaches. At EU level, AI is acknowledged as a key technological area on which the digital transformation of European industry and society relies, and which will drive Europe's future growth. At the same time, we know that it brings important legal, ethical, and societal issues and questions that emerge as adoption becomes mainstream. Ethics was one of the major dimensions raised at the beginning of this AI rise phenomenon. In 2022, the European Commission published the ethical guidelines on the use of AI and data in teaching and learning for educators. As these raised awareness of the benefits and risks of using AI and on relevant ethical consideration, these guidelines also highlighted the importance of educators' emerging skills and competences. Today's educators are expected, for example, to grasp the basics of AI and learning analytics, to interact and give feedback to AI systems, and to be aware of data governance, privacy, and ethical principles. So we have to address how we are going to be able to empower teachers and educators and how we can help them to upskill. The question here is, how are we going to accompany our educators and teachers so that they can accompany their students? And speaking of skills, let me zoom out a bit and bring in the wider policies of the Union in relation to resilience, competitiveness, and global influence. A skilled workforce is of capital importance in the Union's ambition in all these areas of resilience, competitiveness, and global influence. But the present situation is quite dire in the EU. We are facing a severe shortage of basic digital skills among working adults and a major gap in ICT specialists who can develop and deploy all kinds of digital and technological solutions for our industries and for our societies. And this represents a major obstacle in front of the EC's ambitions to turn the EU into a worldwide technology leader while keeping its digital sovereignty. To tackle these obstacles, the Commission is working on digital skills, and it is guided by the Digital Decade Policy Program. It is the overarching policy framework which outlines concrete objectives and target, and it provides a governance framework and mechanism for monitoring and collaborating with member states. But clearly, this is not enough. We need everyone on board. We need the schools, we need higher education, we need vocational training, we need education and training providers to keep up with the pace of technological innovation, to prepare properly the next generations of students, and to ensure that the workforce has upskilling opportunities and reskilling opportunities. We simply cannot risk an even larger disparity between the skills demand by the economy and those possessed by young people who are entering the job market. We need, therefore, industry and education providers to work more closely together to align the curricula with the industry's needs. And under this initiative, one of the flagship actions of the Union of Skills is setting up digital skills academies in crucial areas for future growth. 4 of them are due to start very soon, in a few months. The virtual academies on AI, on quantum, on virtual worlds, and on semiconductors. These academies will pull excellence from higher education institutions, training providers, and industry to deliver high quality, future proof programs that address labor market needs. And in resonance with today's topic, you must have taken note of the AI Digital Skills Academy. It is a significant investment by the European Commission to train and upskill students and professionals in AI and in generative AI technologies. The Academy will also serve the objectives of the EC's strategy on AI, that is, the initiatives on the AI Continent Action Plan and the AI Apply Strategy. These are meant to stimulate innovation and foster the uptake of AI in strategic sectors for the European economy. And under the next multi-annual financial framework, which is the next generation of funding programs, which will start in 2028, the European Commission is proposing an unprecedented budget of 51 billion euros to finance advanced digital infrastructure, AI deployment, and innovation under a new program called the Competitiveness Fund. But we cannot advance without the support of local and national governments that will also invest in digital skills boosting. Exchanges and collaborations between member states, between regions, and with the European Commission is fundamental. And we are doing this through a number of initiatives, such as the Best Practice Accelerator on Digital Skills and through the framework of the Digital Decade Board Governance. And I would also like to mention this in this context, the work that is done with the well-established digital skills and job platform and the national digital coalitions, the digital skills coalitions, which are acting as multipliers in member states. So these elements that I have presented give you a glimpse to understand the central role that AI plays in the European Commission's plans for supporting technological development in the EU. And this has implications of scale, on industry, on society, on education, on the education agenda. Therefore, collaboration should become a constant priority among all stakeholders involved in education and scaling. And in this sense, I really applaud the efforts that the EmpowerED project has put into stimulating collaboration and building an ecosystem in which startup and SMEs, along with support organizations which providing accelerators, incubators, test beds, join schools and policymakers, without forgetting about their great contribution to establishing a true European Edtech community and the preparation of the upcoming European Edtech ecosystem roadmap. So I think a special attention should be granted to the involvement of teachers into technology research and innovation, in AI and other areas such as virtual worlds, which are also going to impact fundamentally the way students engage with their learning resources. Teachers' feedback, critical assessment, ideas for new products or improvements are essential to shape tomorrow's digital educational environments. So to conclude, I really hope that we will have a very rich and productive conference with engaging debates, with new ideas emerging, and paving the way to new avenues of collaboration between the various participants of this ecosystem. Thank you for your attention and have a great day.
Thank you to Rihanna Schwininger-Ladak for providing this complementary perspective into the topic, which is certainly very enriching for our conversation. And now, without further ado, we will pass to the first keynote speech of the day, given by Francisco Belles, professor at the University of La Coruña in autonomous robotics and applied machine learning. And the topic is, can we truly trust AI if we cannot actually understand it? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me, especially to Laura that managed everything to me. So, I would like to, this is, I think, a little bit different topic from the others that you will have in this conference. So I would like to give you some food for thought in the coming days, okay? Thinking about what is this of explainable AI and how this new area fits into this idea of advancing on AI in schools, okay? Well, first of all, I would like to say that what I'm going to explain here, if you want more details, you can check this report that we have been working on for 1 year, and it is now published officially in the Publications Office of the European Union. I mean, we developed this report in the European Digital Education Hub, and I mean, you have there the details, okay? I would like to make just a brief introduction to explainable AI out of the scope of education, this general concept, what it is, why it matters in every scope of artificial intelligence, and then I will focus on education, okay? So the idea is quite simple. Explainable AI is a subfield of AI which aims to provide explanations about the reasons why an AI-based system takes a decision or provides an output. So the key word here is the why. Why this system is providing me this prediction or this output. Okay, so the origin of the explainable AI field is quite technical, and it comes from the kind of models that work better on AI, which are models based on data, normally obtained using machine learning techniques. And the best models that we have right now are really complex. Okay, deep learning, artificial neural networks, whatever. The idea is that once the model is working, it works pretty well, but if we want to understand why the output was provided, we cannot extract information because they are based on millions and millions of numbers and parameters, and extracting information from that is really, really complex. There is a huge field of people working on that in the field of AI, trying to extract information from these black boxes. So I cannot tell you that in the future we we will not be able to extract that information. But at the moment, it's really, really complicated. So the thing is that explainable AI is not only that, okay? Explainable AI is much more than that. And in fact, a few years ago, in this text related to the ethics of AI, you can read this sentence. For an AI system to be trustworthy, we must be able to understand why it behaves a certain way and why it provides a given interpretation. So, explainable AI is focused with the ethical dimensions of artificial intelligence, mainly with the trustworthiness of these systems. And in education, as you can imagine, this is the key aspect. If teachers and students do not trust on the tool, they cannot use the tool. Okay. So the question for most of teachers and most of people, okay, because this is a quite advanced audience, but when you go to schools or when you go to the parents, they do not understand why this so advanced technology is not trustworthy. So why these explanations are necessary for me, I don't understand that. Okay. So we have to understand three main points here. The first one, AI nowadays can solve really complex problems, okay? So the solution that we can get from this kind of systems could be also complex, and maybe we cannot understand that. This happens to students a lot of times when they are using Gen AI to solve whatever kind of problem in a topic that they don't know about it. Okay. Second one, in general, AI systems try to be as autonomous as possible, okay? So they try to take decisions without our intervention. So this, as you can imagine, can compromise our agency. So at the end, we could be in this situation of, okay, I rely my decisions to the AI system because it works pretty well. Okay, and the third one is that in the fundamentals of machine learning and database artificial intelligence, it is the concept of accuracy. So this is new in the digital world. The output that you get from this kind of system is not perfect. There is a probability of being true and another probability of not being true. And this is something also new for a lot of people. So failure is there. It's a key aspect and it's part of the technology nowadays, okay? So the conclusion is this. AI systems must include explanations about the reason why the output was provided and about the accuracy to reinforce the key topic here, which is the trustworthiness of the system. Okay. There are four key dimensions in explainable AI. I just mentioned them due to have them in mind, but don't worry, this is not too technical. The first one is transparency. So transparency is how open and accessible the system structure is there, okay? So this is matter of the developer of the system that wants to show the internal parameters and specifications of the model. The second one is interpretability. Interpretability means that depending on the technique that you use in your AI system, sometimes it is really hard to get information from it, even if you are really transparent. Or depending on the technique, maybe we can extract information. There are many machine learning models that are not so close as, for instance, artificial neural networks. Why we don't use them? Because they don't work that well. But the point is that we should maybe try to improve those white models instead of the black box models. Okay, this is a good question. Then the third one is explainability itself. Explainability can be defined as the active methods that the developers implement to show this information about the system working to the end users. And the most important one is understandability. Because at the end, if the explanation is not understood and it is not meaningful for the user, it makes no sense. So understandability is a key dimension here. So I think that this is a good summary of what I have said. We have two complementary perspectives on explainable AI. The first one is more technical. So transparency, interpretability, and explainability rely on the developers, policymakers, lawmakers, and so on, okay? And understandability relies on the human, on the end user, and there is no one good explanation for everyone. I know this is tricky, but it's true, okay? So in education, well, you have here from one paper that we will publish soon, a set of key aspects of explainable AI in education. Just to summarize them, I want to give you this idea. With explainable AI, we are putting the user in the center of the process. The users are moving from being just passive readers of what the system is saying to be active users, understanding what is there and what they can do if the output is not confident enough for them. So this reinforces human oversight, reinforces critical thinking, human agency. So at the end, the user becomes, extracts much more information and much more usefulness from the system if we include this kind of explanation in the system, okay? In education, when I say this in education, I am talking about mainly teachers and students, okay? So there are two key aspects, okay, to advance on explainable AI for education. The first one is, the first stop is explanations must comply with ethical and legal requirements, okay? This is the key aspect. And of course, while meeting the pedagogical needs of the educational sector. The second one, in the same idea, is that the explanations must be understandable, as I said before, actionable, this is a key aspect that I will comment later a little bit, and relevant for the different stakeholders. Because if they don't follow these guidelines, they are not useful. But the second key aspect is capacity building. Why it is related with explainable AI? Because if you do not request the explanation because you do not understand the explanation, then the explanation makes no sense. So critical thinking and personal agency relies for sure on capacity building. Okay, this could seem separated to explainable AI, but it is not. So just a little bit more about these three key issues. The first one, I don't know if you are familiar with this, but in the GDPR and in the AI Act, you can find specific references to explainable AI, okay? In the Article 86 of the AI Act, for instance, okay? So explainable AI and introducing transparency and explainability into these systems is not only a pedagogical or technical issue, it's a legal issue, okay? In that reference paper that you can see on the bottom of the slide, well, some colleagues and also myself, we were working with a group of people working in the legal side of AI, and they were analyzing all the different, well, legal, there are different legal texts under development and also working right now in Europe related with AI, but the idea is that which are nowadays the legal issues of explainable AI in education, okay? And the most important one is that teachers and schools are deployers for the AI Act. So they have a responsibility when they use tools with the students on AI. The same responsibility that could have a developer when they put the tool in the market. And this is something that most of the educators and school leaders do not know. But this is very important, okay? And knowing this is key aspect. And explainable AI can help all these school leaders to choose, for instance, those tools that follow the rules and the legal issues in a more appropriate way. So it is very relevant that you, as a teacher, you don't have to be an expert on AI. So when you receive a tool, how do you check that the tool is following all these guidelines? Okay, because the tool should include that information. There are other aspects that I mentioned there, but at the end, the last point is the summary. Explainable AI in education is a pedagogical need and a legal requirement, okay? It's not a technical design choice. Regarding the understandability, just to give you an example, imagine that in education we consider those 6 stakeholders. We could consider more, but this is, I think, a good example. We have students, educational leaders, curriculum designers, teachers, developers, and policymakers. And you can see here what they could need from these explanations. Why is different? Because a student should have the question, why did I get this exercise? Imagine that a student is using an intelligent tutoring system that is providing exercises. Why? Why do I have to repeat the exercise? I don't understand that. Because the model decided that. Based on what? On probabilities, yeah, but this is not relevant for a student. What probabilities? Why? I thought I was doing it right, but you are making me repeat this, okay? For instance, a teacher, how the system profiles my student, which data is taking this system from my student, and why are you saying that this student should be reinforced in that topic? I don't understand that. Okay. For the curriculum designer, does this prediction or output align with the curriculum standards that I told you? To what level? Okay, etc. So here, I just want to show you that the different stakeholders require different explanation because they have different questions. Okay, so the same answer is not valid for all of us. I don't know if you are familiar with the classical dashboards that we get nowadays in our tools based on learning analytics. Wow, they are amazing. But if you show this dashboard to one teacher or the other, to the school principal or the student, they don't get any information from them because they are all the same for everyone. Okay, this is the key idea that I want to put here on the table today. Okay, AI has the potential to personalize what we want to achieve or what we need to extract from the tool, but we are not using that potential. Everyone is getting the same information. Regarding the capacity building, I don't go into the details of this. You are more expert than me on this and the new texts that are really good. So I just want to say that for sure, if we have a population which is trained on the fundamentals of AI, then the explanations will be much more useful for them, that's all. Because if you do not understand the concept, then the explanation is not relevant for you. I will give you very briefly 2 or 3 educational examples. Look, this is an example of kind of dashboard for the student that is including information about how was the progress of the student in a lesson and why a given activity was provided or not, based on what. So this kind of information is fine, it's correct. I'm not saying that it is not what we need, but it lacks a lot of information. It was the first attempt to include explainability in educational steps. This is the kind of information, if you have a look at it, you will see that the style is quite simple, the colors and so on. Okay. We have other tools like this, which is a tool to understand how machine learning works in the sense of image classification, okay? And it is showing that when the student takes a photo to that class, the system says, this is an astronaut, with a 98% of accuracy, and the student says, come on, this is not an astronaut. And why do you say this is an astronaut? And this tool shows you a heat map, which is that color map, showing you the features that it is using to decide that it was an astronaut. And on the right side, you see the images that it used to decide that it was an astronaut. It is because in the helmet of an astronaut, there is this kind of texture too. So the student realized, oh, this is horrible. This is not what I would do. How can we improve this? And then this tool allows you to improve that. Okay, so what do you want? Detecting a glass? Yes, but I did not have images of a glass. Do you want to include them? Yes. And then there is this relation with the tool, and the tool at the end works properly. look, in the left side, for instance, when an exercise is assigned to a student, normally in the systems that we have right now, well, this is the exercise, and this is what you have to do with very, very low level of explanation to the student. What we should have something similar to what you have in the right side. A comparison with your progress with the classroom, okay? Just to know why the system decided that you should continue with that exercise, and a set of recommendations of what you should do in order to improve it, and that this not happen to you in the next slide. Okay. And the last example that I want to show you is for teachers. Imagine that this is a tool that creates a lesson plan for taking, for instance, if you're a teacher, taking your materials and you ask the system, Gen AI, to create a lesson plan for a given topic. Okay, so it creates that lesson plan. And at the moment, what is happening in every system that I know is that it creates the lesson plan and you don't get any feedback about to what extent did you follow my recommendations, to what extent did you follow my materials. You can ask, but it's something that you have to do. Okay. What is proposed in the field of explainable AI? To include this second dashboard there, where you can see why did I recommend you this based on the materials that you put there, but also in the knowledge that I have from other similar lesson plans. Second, to what extent I follow the GDPR, to what extent I follow the current, the AI Act and so on. And at the end, if you see there on the left, there is a warning because, A, I create this, but you have to check this. Do not rely on, these are the explanation why I give you this, but you have to check this. So this is the kind of information that is missing right now. Does it rely on the original problem of the black box problem of machine learning? Well, in a sense, but it's much more than that, okay? Because it's not only going to that. Of course, the best that we could have those algorithms, I mean, the higher the trustworthiness, but it is much more than that. Okay. So, just to finish, there are many open challenges in the field of explainable AI because this is a starting field. If you have a look, there are conferences and people working on this. We are on that point, okay? Because the key aspect is that we don't have standards. So as we don't have standards, every developer and every company that is trying to include explanations on the systems, they are doing on their own. I mean, this is the normal thing nowadays in Gen AI. Every company is doing what they want, and we are following what they do. But in this case, this should be changed, okay? So we require standards and regulations. Then, of course, if the system is telling you how it works, and considering how this kind of system works nowadays, mostly those based on Gen AI, this is this confirmation bias. So the system is telling you all the time, yeah, I am sure what I am telling you, and what I am telling you is what you wanted, that I gave you, and so on. So you could have over-reliance on the AI system if we include explanations, okay? But this is something that we know, so we can try to do things to avoid that problem. Then, explainable AI requires more information from the user. Because in order to provide you personalized information, I need to profile a little bit more your preferences. So this could be another privacy concern. And the last one is that it is not that easy mainly for the developer to create meaningful explanations, because they have to get information from the final user, okay? So this takes time. It's complex to include it, but it's possible to do it. I am working right now with a group of people in the Asia Europe Foundation in a proposal of what we think should be the next step on this. I mean, the next step in the sense that we could start from this idea. And it is that we think that explainable AI requires that the system is actionable in the sense that when you get the explanation, you should be able as a user to change something. Okay, if this is not right for me, I would like to tell you why it's not right for me, and we can start in a kind of discussion with the system. Okay, so this is very relevant, okay, because this idea of being just passive users of AI does not make really sense if you think about it. You should be able to change anything. And the next steps to do, in my view, should be, first of all, regulations, standards, guidelines. So this is the job of policymakers and lawmakers. You should include explainability in that regulations. Then, I am a researcher, and I think that we have a lot of guidelines right now, a lot of them, but we don't have evidences. Where are the evidences of the impact of these tools on the classroom? We need to perform research in the classroom with teachers, with the students. This takes time, but it is the only way that we can advance. I would say that not depending that much on the big tech companies, because they are changing the rules every 2 weeks or 1 month, and we are following them. So we require more research, okay? So I know that it is not polite to ask for money, but from the bottom up, I would ask the policymakers that we need funds to carry out this research. We need to research. We need to test these things in schools. And for sure, at a transversal level, we should include this AI literacy, okay? To conclude, explainable AI plays a critical role in aligning AI system with educational values, legal requirements, and pedagogical goals. For the educators, they must be equipped with information on the tools so they can choose the tool they want to use, and they understand the output of the tool. The tool must be useful for the teacher, okay? It does not mean that the tool must be, let me say, stupid. No. The tool has to be pedagogically robust and formal and follow the legal guidelines. It has to be meaningful and useful, okay? Learners, for sure, they require support in developing their understanding, the agency and the critical thinking. And with explainable AI, you can reinforce these points. It's not an endpoint, but a process of co-creation. I know that this is simple to say, but complicated to do. Okay, because creating groups of heterogeneous stakeholders to advance on this is not that easy, but it is the only way we should start thinking about how to do it. So, as I said before, building transparent, fair, and human-centered AI, this is what we all want, is not a matter of including more technical things there. At the moment, we should stop, and we should include other aspects, and explainable AI is one of these key aspects, okay? And just a final message. I would like to make a call for continued collaboration across discipline sectors and stakeholders groups as we have here, companies, stakeholders, teachers, and researchers, because this is the only way to really advance apart from what the big tech companies want to do. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Francisco Bellas. It was a very nice connection also to the previous keynote speech. Anybody would like to ask a question or raise a reflection or add a point to what was mentioned right now? I think it was really tying in very well with what we heard yesterday from Heinonen about the tendency perhaps to technological fatalism. So this is actually a call to action to go much beyond that. So that was very appreciated. Perhaps just a quick question from my side. What's the role of the teachers and the users in a way of artificial intelligence in also making it understandable to their students why they are choosing to rely on an AI tool for their teaching and learning purposes?
Well, the thing is that nowadays, I don't see any role on the teacher on selecting the tools that they can use at schools apart from their own interest on the tool. there is no guideline, there is no, I would say that teachers do not have a kind of checklist in the tools that they want to use. So they know the kind of use of the data that the tool is using, what kind of information is using from the students. Is this legal or not? This is not present at the moment, because as this is not mandatory for the developers, it is not included there. So what I want to say is that I am not saying that we have to do all the process for teachers, so teachers just take the tool and use it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the tools should include this information so the teacher can have the opportunity to select from a pool of possible tools those that they really feel confident with them. This is the key aspect for me. So I am saying that the teacher should be, again, the central actor here. And for doing that, there is no information at the moment which is reliable on the tools. Okay, so this is the point that I would like to highlight here.
Thank you very much. And thanks again, Francisco. Please stay with us for the conference, and we will have the chance also to discuss more informally over the coffee break and lunch. And now for introducing the next roundtable on how to empower educators in the age of AI, I would like to invite on stage my colleague, Benjamin Hertz, who is Senior Pedagogical Manager at European Schoolnet.
Sorry? Yes, yeah. Thank you, Tommaso, and welcome to this panel on how to empower teachers in the age of AI. We've heard a lot about the importance of empowering teachers, focusing on teachers, starting with teachers. We heard from Olli-Pekka Heinonen that any AI strategy should start with teachers. We heard from Christina Callas that they're investing heavily in AI literacy. But we also heard that just developing guidelines and the strategy and giving that to teachers is definitely not going to be enough. So the question is, how do we get this right? What type of support, what type of guidance, what type of structures do we need to provide to teachers to make sure that they have the capacity to feel empowered and to take some of these decisions? And I was very glad to hear just from the keynote speaker that it's not the responsibility of the teacher, the tools need to provide that information to the teachers. So it's these type of questions I'd like to discuss with my fellow panelists here, and I'm very glad to have on the panel here two teacher educators who will be on the front line of providing exactly this support and guidance to the teachers. And both also have experience of researching how do we develop capacity of teachers in the area of using technology. So we have Jotundur and Pablo Garazay here. Could you just quickly introduce yourself? Let's start with you, Jo.
Yeah, so good morning, and first of all, thank you for inviting me here. So my name is Jotundur, and that's a problem in Spain. When people ask my name, I say, my name is Jo. I say, si, what's your name? Jo. Si, your name. So then I say, my name is Jose. Ah, Jose. So I'm Jose in Spain, but you're Jo as you want. Anyway, I'm a teacher trainer indeed at the Free University of Brussels. And I'm also an Edtech researcher. I'm especially interested how teachers and schools are dealing with new technological informations. For me, it's a really interesting case to see how they deal with innovations.
Great, thank you, Jo. Pablo.
I'm Pablo Garayzar. My surname is Basque, so it also makes some trouble to Spanish people. And I'm an associate professor at the University of Deusto. I'm a computer scientist and psychologist. My research was focused on computational thinking, but now we are pivoting towards AI because it's the new thing. And during the last year, I've been in touch with a lot of teachers, so I grasped all the insights from them, and I think that's interesting.
Great, thank you, Pablo. Now, to support the discussion, we also have an expert from the European Commission with us, who's been thinking a lot about how, from the European level, we can support teachers, and has been the driving force behind the guidelines that have been mentioned many times already, over yesterday and also this morning. So great to have you with us, Alain. Can you give a quick introduction about your background?
Nice. Thanks for the invitation. And I'm Alain Tillier. I'm a secondly national expert from France, but I'm working at the digital education unit at DG EAC for now 4 years. and I'm involved in the development of the ethical guidelines on AI, and there is a revision. We will say something on that, and also for other revisions, so on how making informed choices when selected some digital education materials, digital education content. So that's also something. And my background, maybe I have to say that I'm an history and geography teacher at the beginning. So that's the way I see that at all the levels that we have, something important is to say we need to have some great articulations. You know, the scaling, the geography teacher is here, the scaling, and also the articulation to be coherent. So
great, thank you, Alan. So I'd like to look at this question of how to empower teachers in sort of 3 different parts. First, look a bit at what do we actually mean by empowering teachers. We talked a lot about AI literacy. We have the UNESCO competency framework for teachers. So let's dive into a bit more detail there. What does actually an empowered teacher look like? Then to explore a bit, well, what do we need to do to actually achieve that empowerment of teachers? What support and guidance do we need to focus on? And last but not least, I'd also like to spend some time talking about how is AI impacting the practice of teacher education and the structure of teacher education itself. So let's jump right in. First question to you, Joe. How do you understand this concept of empowerment in the context of AI? How would you describe an empowered teacher?
Good question. So I'm an Edtech researcher, and when I go back in time, when I started doing research about technological innovation, it's the time where we had the first computers in the classroom. Like 30 years ago in Flanders, in Belgium, and what I saw them, and it's with any technological innovation, I think we start with the passive use of technologies, and it's also mentioned, I think, in the keynote speech. And what I think is an empowered teacher is someone who is taking an active approach to technological innovations like AI now. Now it's all about AI, of course, and that's someone who is taking agency. And how to do that? Well, what we often do as researcher is to come up with a kind of review of synthesis of the existing evidence, and I like to do systematic review. So we created the AIM model, which is AI model in education, and I don't want to talk about it too long, but I see 3 important things that came from the qualitative evidence that are empowered to describe an empowered teacher. And one thing that is especially interesting related to AI is the human computer or machine interaction. That's really something interesting, new. So to give you one example about feedback is a struggle for teachers, how to provide feedback. We don't have enough time to provide feedback. And I see in the evidence that actually our students do like feedback from the machine, yeah, but it's very broad, generic feedback. They also want the specific targeted feedback from a teacher, from a human teacher, I mean. And so the question is, how do we human and machines work together? How do we interact, yeah? That's one aspect. The second aspect is we need AI competences. We're talking about it during the last day also about what is it, AI literacy. We need to understand how AI can actually help us, for instance, to provide feedback, yeah? And then I think one of the most crucial things for me as like an educational scientist also is design. How can we design to create experience, or in this case, for instance, to provide feedback, to make use of the opportunities of AI, knowing what the limitations or the risks are, yes? And this is kind of like iteration. Yeah? You need to design for experience, you develop new AI skills, and you make use of the interaction between humans and computers, and there you take agency, you become an empowered teacher.
Thank you, Jo. Pablo, Alan, anything you would add to that?
Well, I think that most teachers are overwhelmed with a lot of work that is not focused on teaching. So maybe AI can empower them also, removing all the boring stuff, all the repetitive stuff, and letting them to focus on the interesting parts of their teaching and their learning processes.
Great, thank you. I think one thing that came to my mind after listening to the conversations yesterday and also this morning, this term of self-regulated learning and metacognition, and I think part of being an empowered teacher also means that you have the capacity to teach your students to be self-regulated learner, to ask metacognitive questions, and I think it's a part that we sometimes forget, and it's not sufficiently addressed because it's not in many curricula at the moment. Great, so let's follow up again with you, Pablo. I'd like to paint a bit of a picture. What happens if we don't follow up on this in a fast enough way? Yesterday we talked about the technology is extremely fast, ministries react very slow, and teachers are facing many issues right now in the classroom. Students are using the AI, the teachers are using the AI. So what are the possible consequences for teaching and learning dynamics and schools more generally if we don't sufficiently empower teachers? Can you paint us a bit of a picture of why it's so important to move forward with this?
Yeah, as you said, we don't have to make predictions, but because it's happening right now. So we have most of the teachers with a lot of stress and anxiety, digital anxiety, I will say. Some of them are terrified because of this new wave of technology. The others, they could manage them, but this one is maybe too big for some of them. We have early adopters, but we have others that are terrified right now, and we have to deal with them. At the same time, we have teachers to be, students that will be teachers which are using AI but without knowing how it works, what are their limitations. They, of course, don't know any explanation about that, so they are passive users, I would say. Then we have the students using without any guidance or any supervision, and they are also lost because they don't know if they are cheating or not, because when they are taught to use a new tool, say, okay, explore the tool, get the most of it, and use for your education. And when you do that with Gen AI, it's in a gray area that is sometimes very close to cheating during your learning processes. At the same time, we have school principals that don't have decided anything yet about this. They don't have policies so every corner case or gray area remains gray. So a way to empower teachers will be, okay, let's establish a framework, what is a good practice, what is a bad practice, what is responsible of every part of this deployment, as Professor Beda says. So it's tricky, and we have to empower teachers, because I think that nowadays they are somehow overwhelmed and in a very weak position. So empowering is a very powerful word, I would say, and we think we should do that.
Great, thank you. We heard yesterday also that no learning comes without effort, or that there's this difference between performance and actual learning. We heard that from the OECD colleague. Is there, if we look at this question now in the context of teacher education, is there a danger that we end up in a situation where there's a pedagogical de-skilling of teachers, if teachers, without any kind of support and guidance and frameworks for using AI, if they just use AI to develop their lesson plans, all pedagogical activities, and if you think about a student teacher who's done that from the start of becoming a teacher, is there a danger of this pedagogical de-skilling happening? Is that something you can comment on?
Yeah, totally. I would say that we are talking about re-scaling and upscaling, but we are not talking about de-scaling. Every new technology comes with de-scaling. Every time humanity created technology, we gain some new things, but we lost also some skills. So we have to decide what are we losing in this new shift.
Alan, is that something you also want to comment on?
Yeah, that's something which is important, because when we think with or without AI, this is the same issue that we are facing. We can have over-reliance, we can have routine, which means that more and more you let and you give confidence on the machine. results. So that's something that could be an assistance, but also that can make you just sleeping at some point. So that's something. And if you reflect also in another way, and I really like to say each time that I can, if we don't have any electricity, if we have some crisis, we need also to be able to keep the way. And when I was a teacher, I was always saying, okay, I'm using digital, but I have to play the actor on the scene if I need to. So, and also to develop the different ways to teach and learn, which is very important at the same point to say that the other risk I see is the possibility also to only get confidence and on the conformity, because we know that the data that are used are data, big data that can be used, but it relies on the inputs that you put in the machine. So that's something also about our thinking about creativity and not only about solving problems, etc., etc. So to make it an assistance, so we need to keep the balance, and as the 45% of people that we have in the survey that we have just launched and published yesterday on a Eurobarometer on digital needs for education. And with this AI, it brings challenges and benefits, as we heard from all the audience. And that's something which is important, but I will develop after that.
Okay, thank you. I think I also really like the point about conformity, and I wonder if everybody uses the same tools to develop their lesson plans, we're maybe losing some level of pedagogical diversity. So, yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's move now to looking at how do we actually go about empowering teachers. And I'd like to stay with you, Alan. Well, the European Commission released the first set of guidelines just before ChatGPT came on the fore, kicking off that Gen AI hype, and I believe it's one of the most downloaded resources of the European Commission. So it really shows that there's a need for this type of guidance. Now, what have you since learned about the type of support teachers need when it comes to questions around ethical use, data privacy, and how's that reflected in the revised version that's due to come out next year?
I'm very pleased to see that many works that we are doing through the Digital Education Hub, and thanks to the colleagues who participate to the revision of these guidelines, we try to accelerate a little bit the process, even if now we are just waiting for the publication. So it will come probably early 2026. I can promise that. What we have done here at EU level, you know, we don't have all the competencies, so we don't work on the curricula, but we try to provide some guidance on how to develop your teacher agency to use AI. So what are the main novelties, if I would say? We selected use cases that are now for real developed into classrooms. And we have looked at these use cases just to provide some practical and ethical questions to guide both teachers and schools at the same time, because we need to have and to develop the agency collectively and individually. So, because also we hear from all the speakers that maybe we need to think about how far we can ask teachers to know everything about AI and also to develop. So I really appreciate the previous keynote about those information that need to be. So the sharing the roles is something also important here. For sure, we develop those guidelines and those guiding questions about ethics, not reinventing the wheel. We also use from the previous ones the ethical trustworthy guidelines. So you will find the criteria that we have here. So for us, it's to develop a core and shared at EU level guiding principles, questions, ethical principles that we need to propose, and then to let everyone in different contexts to use and reuse it properly, to adapt it to their own context. This is the way that we are proposing a core guiding principles and questions and use cases, and then let member states, regional authorities, and school develop their own practical reflections and actions at school level. This is the modularity that I'm always pushing for.
Thank you. Maybe let's stay briefly still with the guidelines, because in the guidelines there's also information about the EU AI Act, and I know it's not easy necessarily, or not so clear what you can say and what you can't say, because things are changing all the time. But can you say a few words about the EU AI Act? And
the way we inserted, because it was one of the reasons that we revised also, because the landscape have evolved since the 2022. And then we included Gen AI for sure, but also the regulation and the initiative that Rihanna mentioned also at the broader picture, because also, as we say, we need to have more discussion between all the stakeholders since the starting point to develop properly with researchers, applied researchers, not only academic, if I may say, with the Edtech or the NGOs, all the providers of the solutions, and the authorities and the teachers and the staff and the students. So everyone needs to work together from the starting point to the end point, and also to have a follow-up on to analyze what is important when you are really in situation to use. So not only to say, okay, we have all the good elements, all the good components, we take care about the needs. No, but the needs, when they are implementing for real, you need also to follow up and to think if there is something for improvement. On the AI Act, just to come back on that. On the AI Act, we just highlighted into the guidelines what are the main points from the AI Act, and you see the Article 86, you see the Article 50, we have the transparency, and we also mentioned the prohibited cases because the guidelines are published. And you know that everyone is waiting for the high-risk guidelines that the AI office will probably publish by February next year. This is the roadmap and the plan. So it will try to define what are the tools that are in the scope. So maybe it will be an improvement for the information that Professor Belias just called for before. So let's see how it goes. It takes time because also we are not lawyers at DG AI, but we are working with the AI office and with lawyers about what we can say or not. So for us, it was just to highlight the main points that need to be considered when you are a teacher, a school leader, or a policymaker, I would say, at this point, and maybe also you will not have to read all the AI Act to do that. So this is the practicality that we try to develop.
So would your advice be to the colleagues who are currently in the audience and who are in charge of developing a strategy in regards to teacher training, would you advise them to take a similar approach, or would it be better to wait until there more guidance is available? It's a difficult situation.
No, it's a difficult situation, you know, and we hear, even from Minister Callas, that, okay, everyone knows that we don't have too many time to waste, so we need to take the consideration and find the right balance between the benefits and the risks that you have to take. Of course, you have to be legally compliant. We have all of those elements, but it's not new. This is about the rules that you have also in each education ecosystem, I would say. So that's the reason why also you need to take, and we need to accept that we will have always gray zones here, and you will have always some differences and gaps between the generic law that you have, and then the sectorial for education. We have some needs, and it depends also if you are in higher education or in lower education, if you have minors or majors to develop how your system is organized, who have the responsibilities for this and that. So this is about the coherence of all of that. And just to say, okay, trust also the human capacities and the human agencies of the teachers. So the message here is just reflect as we say, be active, reflect, develop your agency, and then make your informed decision with what you have at this stage, and then, okay, improve, and reflect, and follow up on that. Just to say, okay, it's not done forever, it's not given forever, you have to reflect and to reconsider each time, but this is, okay, the beauty of the work of teacher, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to a slightly different issue now. Coming to you, Jo. I think probably if you ask a teacher right now what the most urgent issue is that they're dealing with, is that they are facing a situation where students are bringing them work and it's difficult to decide, am I seeing actually progress of the learner or is this a work of AI? And we heard yesterday that example from Katharina Sperling of a boy asking an AI to provide an answer just at the right level so that it doesn't sound like an AI, but it also sounds, it also still impresses the teacher. So that's actually quite disempowering for teachers to be in that situation. How do we deal with that now in the short term, but also in the longer term? What kind of structural long-term changes maybe to assessment or other areas are needed for teachers to get back that feeling of empowerment?
Yeah, that was one of the first questions when we first had Gen AI. I was like, what about my assessment? Help! What can I do? All the risks instead of looking at the potential. But to be honest, personally, I was very happy with that question because I'm looking at innovation for a long time already. And what I didn't see changing a lot was assessment. Like the way I was assessed 30 years ago, I see still the same kind of things, kind of assessments happen. So we are, and that's an interesting thing with new technologies. We are forced to look at education, and AI is forcing us to look at assessment. So I'm happy with that. To give you one concrete example, if I may, the master thesis, yes? In our teacher training institution at our university, they were like, now the students can just use Gen AI to make an essay. And I was, should they make an essay? Should they make a text? Yeah, of course they should be able to write an article, an academic article, right? Is it in the learning goals? No, it's not in the learning goals. So when you look at constructive alignment, the most important thing, I think, what are the learning goals, what are the teaching methods, and how do you assess? Teachers are forced, and we also in university, to look at the goals again. It was not in the goals to write an essay. Yeah, but it's important. Agree. So should we put it in the goals? Yes. So are we going to train our students to write an essay? No. So we had to rethink the idea of what is actually a master thesis, is to do a research cycle. What we're doing now is at the end of the academic year is to have a conference where we invite teachers and school leaders to present the work the students did. Yes. Completely different approach. So, and that's, I think, the nice thing about AI is it's forcing us to think about what is good education, what is good assessment also in the short term, for your point. To your point is, I think what we do often now is you can use AI or you cannot use AI. To give you an example, again, at the VUB, we are now testing a tool where you can put a device here and check if every one of you is using something digital. If you are on the Wi-Fi, if you're on data, is to protect you to not use AI. Yeah? Or we can say, okay, you can use AI in this way, in a responsible way. And that's how we deal with it right now. In the long term, was also your question, is I think we need a clear vision about assessment. Yeah? Are we moving towards more formal assessment, formative assessment? I think so. How to do that? Do we have the capacity? Can AI help us with it? So I think that's in the long term some work we have to do in schools and also in higher ed, is to think what is the status of assessment in relation to AI.
Thank you, Jo. Pablo, maybe you can also comment on this. I know you've been talking to a lot of teachers around Spain.
We found that we cannot focus on the final product. We have to rethink all the stuff related to assessment. And we found out also that there is some teachers that are I would say reluctant to face this problem, and they are somehow doing a performative learning, which is assuming that nobody is using AI, getting better final products, and assessing them as a good product, and everybody is fine, because teachers are fine, students are very, very happy with that, families also. So when you go there and you say, okay, the Emperor suit is not there, we have to find out what is happening, what happened here, and change all the things, they are somehow reluctant because it's warm and calm there. So we have to face them with the reality, and we also have to change our minds, because we were lectured about learning by doing. And learning by doing is not a thing right now, because you can do things without doing them, actually. So we have to move from learning by doing to learning by thinking, as Hector Ruiz said, and try to ensure that people is thinking during their learning processes. And that's much trickier, as Joe said.
Thank you. Can I just also ask, maybe any of you, are you optimistic that we will see these kind of longer-term structural changes to assessment, that they will happen? Because change in education is very slow, and assessment in particular, I would say.
Yeah, this is a long-term. We see that as a long-term shift of mind, because this is about. It's important to have knowledge to transmit. The more you know, the more you are able to question. So that's also something which is important to keep. But at the same time, the digital, not only AI, bring together the tools and the possibility to build formative, adaptive learning, formative. So, okay, all of those tools that are developed with a dedicated purpose for education, and which is important and which is also recognized. Yesterday we hear from that. We also hear from the Eurobarometer on that. There is a majority of people who are saying, okay, we should do that. But at the same time, we have all of those LLMs that are used at home. So the big challenge that I see here is probably also how to assess, not only with dedicated tools that we can develop and that are very, okay, we have that not yet, but they are not well known, I would say, because there is not, we are not advertising on that enough in each member state. But there are some products that are well designed for different types of teaching and learning. But at the same time, we have all of these ChatGPT, Gemini, and others that are used on a daily basis. And we will have to reflect. If we don't move and we don't teach and learn, if we don't assess properly, formatively, and we will see how it changed the examination at the end, because, okay, for the systems, this is something also that needs to be thinking, we need to think about it at this stage. But we have the opportunity to think about it. If we don't do it, okay, people will use it on their home, and then we were at school is a particular area, and then we cannot live like that. So that's the reason why, okay, I'm optimistic. I think that we will change. It will take time, probably, but not so much. Maybe, let's say, in 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, I think.
Okay. Let's move now to maybe something a bit more positive. We've talked a lot about risks, challenges, or issues associated with AI, but AI also offers amazing opportunities for teachers. And probably you mentioned at the beginning also, it can really empower teachers as well. So can you maybe start out by telling a bit about your own experience as a teacher educator and how you support teachers to benefit from these opportunities that AI offers? And also tell a bit about the balance between getting teachers really excited to try out AI and innovate with AI, but at the same time also to remain cautious and critically reflective about what AI provides. Yeah, maybe you can share your experience.
As you said, it's not easy because you are trying to empower people, but saying, okay, be cautious. So it's like two different directions. But they realize very soon during the teacher training that they can get a lot of benefit from it. So as I said before, all the boring stuff can be somehow helped or improved, and they can write better reports or emails or whatever using AI. They of course have to be responsible of the final product, but they get a lot of advantages from its use, and there are no a lot of ethical issues involved there. But when you move from administrative stuff to the things that are happening in the classroom, then more caution is needed there. So, but they found very interesting to improve their learning materials using AI to create auto-corrective, auto-assessments that can be done easily because students need feedback. We need to provide feedback. That feedback was very heavy in terms of workload, and now we can rely on some activities which are very simple, and I would say we are pushed to provide feedback, and teachers are choosing simple and very easy to do activities to be assessed. So we have to work on that and say that we need to go further there. But they feel empowered because they say, okay, now most of my daily basis work at class can be helped by the use of AI. They are doing vibe coding to create simulations and create simple applications that they were not able to do that. So they feel empowered, but at the same time, they know that they are using it without knowing everything about it. So they say they are on thin ice sometimes. They say, okay, I created this app, it's working, I don't know why. Just ask for it, and it's working. And if sometimes, if some student asks for an explanation, I couldn't provide that. And if we need to change that or to be accountable of its use because it's using data from students, I have no explanation, as Professor Vela says. So they are very empowered. They feel most of the users very empowered, but at the same time, they know that they are borrowing technology. In computer science, we talk about technical debt. When you are using a technology which is useful but you don't understand, so you are just buying the use and not the technology by itself. So they feel also a lot of technical debt there. So they are also concerned about that. Some of them, some others are very happy. So we are trying to empower them, saying, okay, maybe this helped you, but you have to work on how to understand better how it worked and maybe go deeper. Just a multiple choice test is not a proper way to assess this competence. You have to work on the pedagogical stuff of it.
Okay, thank you. Yo, does that also reflect your experience?
Yeah, and the challenge is, Benjamin, is to train student teachers, future teachers, for a future we don't know. Yeah. When I was trained as a teacher 30 years ago, I had the subject media, where I learned to use WordPerfect 5.1 and Excel. Yeah, and I didn't know how to use that in my classroom. Now, that's not the way forward. So I need to do that in an evidence-informed way. So what we did was, again, to synthesize the evidence. We developed a model about how to do that. It's the SQD model, it's synthesis of qualitative data. And we actually just updated the model because it was already 10 years old, and you know how fast our field is moving. And we have like 6 strategies at the micro level that are important to actually do that. And the first one is exploration, which is becoming really important. And that is actually still doing. So I let my students, for instance, explore how to use tools to make, for instance, a lesson plan. There are many now. I let just them do them. The second strategy is to reflect about it. And then they say, actually, it's really good in structuring my lesson plan. it's good to inspire me, but it's not good for in-depth knowledge, for instance, or content, for instance. It's not good to link it to the specific context, for instance, in Brussels. So we reflect about it. The third thing is to help them to design, yeah, which we often don't do. And they often are not aware that they are designers. Teachers are designers. So I make them aware. I give them design competences to, for instance, in this case, work with AI also, and to use AI to help them design. They make a lesson plan with AI, they make a lesson plan without AI, and they compare, for instance. Could be a possible option. Fourth is collaboration. Super important, because we think they're digital natives, yes, but it's a different thing to use these specific tools in education, yeah? So they have to collaborate, to work together. Very crucial. Fourth, I go fast, is to let them try out things in practice. It can be a micro lesson where they use, for instance, AI in a safe place. It can be during their internship, because what we see in our longitudinal studies is the things they do in my practice, in our teacher training, is exactly the practice they do as a starting teacher. So they need these experiences. And the last strategy is to provide feedback. And we're often not good in providing feedback about what they do, in this case, for instance, with AI. And so these 6 strategies are evidence-based strategies that I think are important to incorporate in our teacher training to provide actually these, what I call like future skills.
Excellent, thank you. Very concrete ideas there. Alan, I understand the European Commission is currently working on a mapping of AI initiatives. Can you tell, or maybe give us a couple of examples of national or institutional initiatives that stand out to you when it comes to empowering teachers across these areas that we've just talked about?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, because there are a lot of initiatives across Europe, and you cannot. I don't want to rank any one of them. Just to say that what we can observe is in the AI mapping that we are doing is the fact that many of the member states are developing a 360 approach, because, okay, it's not only about the training, but you need to consider the training. You need to develop the communities of teachers in particular. I think about in France, we have the CREA, which is based on the community of teachers that are involved at school levels. It's on a voluntary base, but they have a safe space to discuss. But you can do it also through the European Digital Education Hub as well.
Or
that we saw. And for your knowledge, there is another squad at this stage. You have the explainable AI that we saw. That was a previous squad, but there is always a squad on AI at this stage, I would say, that we push for. And also you have the discussion places. Anyone can follow the discussion on that. So now, developing communities of teachers just to let them explain and explore what are the best cases, or the best cases in that context. So we saw with Daniela about the compass. We saw with all the colleagues that were on stage yesterday. So many guidance now also that are providing. We saw that the frameworks to guide and also to adapt, which is something that didn't pop up too much during this conversation, how we need to adapt it also to the specific level, because we cannot be too generic when we are talking about higher education students or primary students, so this is not the same. And we saw this amazing presentation from the Asturian schools yesterday, but I was thinking, okay, very interesting, and at the same time I was asking myself, okay, we can do that with or without digital, and is it the purpose? Is it to develop, for example, in primary, the storytelling that you are doing? Or is it an occasion to put the storytelling in the words and work and collaboratively and not in a personalized way, which is, we are insisting a lot on personalization, but or differentiations. These are words that are important, but collectively also to work together and to reflect on what the AI brings on the table for us. So what are the benefits and what are the limitations? This is something which we need to develop and to encourage in each country. And for sure, my main message is if we can articulate that and be coherent and share more competencies, I would say, and develop those digital commons that we are just all asking for. But digital commons doesn't mean, okay, I have a digital common, this is my French, my German, or other digital commons, and I offer to the EU member states. No, this is not that. This is how we can build together, how we can fund together, how we can commit together. So it's much more. It's developing a community at EU level with the goals, you know, and everything is linking to this discussion about digital sovereignty at this stage. That's my point.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's move to the final part of the conversation. How AI is changing teacher education itself. Now, I know there are quite a few in the audience who are teacher educators themselves, or are at least working in teacher education institutions. So, is your work as a teacher educator already changing as a result of AI? And do you think we will see even greater changes coming up in the future in the way we organize teacher education?
When I saw that question, and when I hear that question again, I'm thinking actually about what happened a couple of years ago, which was COVID, and we already forgot about it, that we, as teacher educators, as teachers in schools, we found suddenly a new space, which is a digital space. Yeah? And now we're even not talking about online and blended learning anymore. It's all about AI. And so for me, it's really important to, when you ask me the question, is teacher training changing? It is a lot because of what happened a couple of years ago because of the pandemic. So we have to think about what do we do online? What do we do in the physical space? Why are we here together in this physical space? Where are people online at their house also in this hybrid space? So that's already a big question we're tackling at the moment. How are we preparing teachers for that? How to integrate these two spaces? And then the question is, where is AI? Is that the digital space then? Because in the literature and when we do some research, we see it's actually not a space, it's almost an actor. Like we perceive it as when we interact with it as an actor. So what we do now in our research, but also in our teacher training, is to actually consider it as a co-teacher. So we are creating more and more customized AI agents to help us with our work. And I think that's really impacting the way we look at our space, the digital, the physical space, and then we have like a buddy, like now, to help us. And I think this will become crucial also because I'm thinking about things like teacher shortage. Yeah. Beginning teachers who drop out after several years, if they can have their, like, not only, of course, this digital co-teacher, they also need human co-teacher, but if we can help them and support them with a pedagogical agent to help them with some of the work, the workload, then I think that's the way forward. And I feel that's at the moment already changing my practice as a teacher educator.
Okay. Exciting times.
Yep.
Can we maybe go into a bit more detail there? And I know, Pablo, you actually worked on a paper several years back that focused on simulated social networks to enhance teacher digital competence. Where do you see the opportunities with AI there? Could AI be used to create simulations for teachers so that they can learn difficult conversations with parents, or they can practice difficult conversations with parents, things like this? What's the potential there?
We are using AI agents at my university for teaching chiropractics and psychologists how to deal with virtual patients at the beginning, because they are not used to ask proper questions. So these agents not only act as a virtual patient, but also provide feedback. Okay, you didn't ask me anything about my issue, or you focused on very specific things, and so doing it virtually, it's somehow a way to be safe, because we are dealing with a lot of ethical issues there. So using, as we name them, participants in experiments, and so it's okay because it's more realistic, but also you are dealing with stuff that may be difficult in ethical terms. So we are using AI for that. We are using virtual patients to do that. And when we did that research using simulated social network, we try to focus on the bad practices. And I think that it's very important to provide also not only good practices, but also bad practices. So that research was focused on you are a social hacker. You are using the social network not as is intended to be used, but just to force other people to be friend of you during this experiment. So try to modify your behavior to present yourself as a friend, not being that. So no human harm was involved because there are all bots there. But we can do the same thing with AI. Let's try to not only provide good practices, but also say, okay, these are some cases that can be tricky, can be dangerous. Maybe you didn't reflect about them. So as everything is virtual and provided by an AI, which we suppose that is not suffering, we can do it in a safe way. We can do it at a school, which I guess it's a sample of society, but in a safer way.
I mean, exciting opportunities there, but isn't there also a danger of losing that human dimension that is so core to teaching? Is that something that you worry about?
Yeah, of course. I think that a proper digital literacy involves knowing when do you have to use a specific technology and when not to. And now the buzzword is AI, so teachers feel enforced to use AI as much as they can. And the message would be that maybe you shouldn't use it for these things, and you should continue providing that human touch. And as Professor Bea says, we have to enforce the idea that you are a deployer, you are responsible of, you have accountability of the use of the technology that you use on the classroom. And if we don't have this, as Alan said, digital sovereignty for those tools, and we are relying on third parties there, maybe we cannot assure that accountability or that responsibility, so maybe we shouldn't use on that context.
Okay. So, final question. Now, we know that there are many colleagues here who are currently working on strategies for teacher training or have recently developed strategies on teacher training. Based on our discussion today, what would you identify as the single highest priority for teachers that these strategies must urgently address? Let's hear from each of you. Let's start with you, Jo.
I would say to develop future skills, because we cannot train them. We can train them for today, but we have to train them for tomorrow, as I said before. And for me, that's actually self-efficacy, is to make sure that they have the efficacy to keep exploring, to keep learning, professionalizing themselves, to keep collaborating, to keep wondering, when should I use AI, when should I not use AI, how should we collaborate? Like, I like the idea of explainable AI, but what about explainable human teachers, and what about explainable collaboration with AI? So I think there this self-efficacy, these future skills are super important, but what is maybe even more important, that's with any new technology, we see that first teachers are familiarizing with themselves with the technology and to use it for their own work. I think we need now to make the bridge to students and to help students use AI in a responsible way. So that's still work to do.
Thank you, Jo. Alan.
Yeah, I would say, as we are doing with the guidelines, maybe another point is be active, try, reflect when it's useful and when it's not useful, but also don't be isolated. Share with your colleagues, share with your students, discuss about it, because this is the way that we will be developing what is under the Union of Skills. You know, we say basic skills for all, and now the 5 pillars include digital, and digital include AI literacy, as we are proposing in the digital AI literacy framework, as you saw with the OECD. So that's something which is important, because we need to develop and to reassure that the first goal is to develop the human capital. Human capital, and therefore the digital competencies that we need to navigate in this digital era that we are living now. So that's something important, I guess, and teachers should know that this is the human capital that is the first goal for education systems.
Thank you. Pablo.
Yeah, I totally agree with Alan and Joe, of course. I will stress the idea that we need to explain teachers that they have the responsibility of their learning and the learning of their students and the accountability of that. When they are very pushed to work on high-level skills like critical thinking, developing agency, and so, those skills doesn't rely on void. They rely on basic skills. So we have to not forget to develop those skills, reading, writing, and that kind of things, because sometimes when new technology comes and says, okay, I can read, I can write for you, okay, maybe we don't have to delegate those if we want to remain getting critical thinking. And so I would say that I don't have critical thinking about plumbing. When a plumber comes to my house and do some stuff, I say, okay, I don't have any critical thinking about what you did because I don't know anything about this. And I have no agency when I will go to Bilbao by plane. I have no agency there. I just follow the rules and we will be in Bilbao. So we have to also say that the high-level skills rely on basic-level skills.
Maybe to add something, because I don't want to be misunderstood. This is also to say that teachers, we need also to reassure teachers that if they need to be aware and to understand, and this is the understandable that Professor Belas provide on the table, the other layers that are more for lawyers, for policymakers, etc. So this is how we can articulate our educational systems, just to be sure that there is responsibility, shared responsibilities, and dynamic to work together, and not everything on the shoulder of the teachers, because we talk a lot of that in different groups when we have this occasion. So, okay, but everyone needs to be aware, for sure.
I think it's a very nice closing point. Do we maybe have some questions or comments? Do we still have time for questions and comments? Okay.
Thank you. I'm Anna from the Ministry of Education and Research in Estonia. And I have a very practical question. At the Ministry, we have different guidelines and frameworks coming in from all organizations who manage to write. Do we have time to read them all? Well, probably not, sadly. But then our own strategy is how to empower educators and teachers is, well, let's write a strategy for them, or a framework, or a recommendation. Then we send them to schools, and probably having been a teacher, I press delete as a teacher on those letters. So I think that is happening in a lot of Estonian schools, in a lot of Estonian teachers. Then we create a lot of courses at universities. What we see, they are excellent, but not many teachers can attend due to work restrictions, private lives, being mostly focused in the bigger cities. That means that teachers who are in rural areas can't really reach them. So my question is, as a policymaker, what should be my next action to help empower all teachers, at least on some level? Because all those frameworks and papers and courses somewhere in a capital city don't really work for a regular teacher in regular school. So what would be your recommendation be? Because I'm going back on Monday at work and I can actually do something. As our Minister Kallas said, we are very flexible and agile, but we don't know what to do.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think it's a very relevant question because, like, for instance, in Flanders, we have our knowledge center, Digisprong, where they translated EU recommendations in a very nice policy document with guidelines for teachers. Is that enough? No, I agree with you. So what they did now is they actually help schools to make their own not only AI, let's say digital policy plan, and they actually developed a tool for that, where the starting point is not technology, but what is good education for your school. And they have like boot camps to support schools to do that. And they do that together with ICT coordinators. So we have coordinators in schools, pedagogical, technical coordinators, and it's also a school thing. It's not only these persons, but they approach it as a team. And I think that's a really nice starting point to start talking about education and how can technology, AI help you to implement these policies actually, these recommendations, and in this case, AI, and how to actually help schools to implement that to what you said, all the teachers. So I think the tool I mentioned can be interesting also for your context in Estonia to help schools developing their own AI or ICT policy plan.
Yeah, and this is about the articulation that I just tried to explain about the scalability and the top-down and the bottom-up that we have every time. Maybe also that's the reason why at EU level the guidelines that we are developing are always targeting, I would say, teachers and school leaders, because you know we don't have the competencies, so we try to be as much as we can direct to with guidance or guiding questions and principles. But also there is another way probably to look at national level. It's about using the levers that are the levers of our education systems, which are the curriculum and the examination. Okay, that's the assessment, and we are coming to that. So that's the 2 points that you can make the move for all of the teachers to think about at the same time.
I would say that if you provide teachers with tons of examples, it's easier for them to adapt one example to their needs. Instead of providing a top-down approach, a guideline, maybe you can provide with 20 examples of good practices and bad practices, and they can somehow grasp all the insights there and figure out how to adapt one of them, which is closer to their particular situation, to their needs. Because sometimes it's easier to go from the specific or concrete to the abstract than the opposite.
And if I may just add one more thing, I think that providing teachers with community spaces where they can interact and learn from each other, I think that's something also very concrete that can be done.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, because we have actually students waiting for us at a coffee break. It's a bit of a little surprise for you. So they will show actually practices that they are carrying out in their schools. They're from Castilla y León, Castilla-La Mancha, and Extremadura. You heard from Alain that yesterday we had the pleasure to interact with students from Asturias. So conscious of time, I'm afraid that we would have to move to the coffee break. But please do engage with the students and their teachers and see what actually happens in the classroom. And once again, thank you.
If I may just very quickly, I just want to make a pitch again for the upcoming webinar that Mark mentioned. And if we could put up the next slide. Yes, thank you. So we're going to have a report coming up on the topic of assessment of teacher learning in the age of AI, and also a webinar associated that Professor Mary Richardson from UCL is the author and will also be the speaker there. So it's happening on the 16th of February. So yeah, you can register using the QR code.
And thank you once again to Ben and the excellent speakers.
Thanks.
And see you in about half an hour.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That went well.
have the mic. Yeah, now it works. Welcome back. Hope you enjoy the coffee break and you exchange with the students that were kindly brought to Madrid by actually the teachers that you see in front of you, which I take the chance to thank very much again for taking the time and for really kind of traveling to Madrid and prepare this session with us. I would like also to thank you, INTEF, and especially Miguel Villa, to support and to encourage us to actually have teachers and students in the event. It was a very great idea to be able to hear their stories, listen to their voices directly, and I'm sure you enjoyed very much already exchanging with students and hearing from them the great activities that they carry out in their classes and how they see AI, how they quite naturally interact with it under the guidance and within the framework that the teachers give them. So I'm very pleased to be here with our four teachers of today. Rafael Montero from the Colegio Corazón de María in Asturias, Cristina de Vega del CEIP Clemente Fernández de la Devesa de Castilla y León, María Rosa Monpó del CEIP Hernán Cortés de Castilla-La Mancha, y Enrique Agudo de Yes Suárez de Figueroa in Extremadura. Os pido, I would welcome an applause for them for this. We'll get to hear a bit their experiences, and hopefully that will also give us some ideas on how and what can be done with AI. And I would like to start with Maria Rosa Monpó Miranda, who focused a bit on learning about AI, mostly, I would say.
Okay,
right?
so for presenting here, I suppose? Okay,
Indeed.
Great. Okay, well, pues let's go on. Well, the first thing I would like to say is that, well, I'm a teacher in a bilingual public school in Talavera de la Reina. It's in Castilla-La Mancha, as Tomás mentioned before. And the most important thing in here, I will say that we use different types of active methodologies in the classes. So that's the point that led us to the use of artificial intelligence in our classrooms. So when we started to use it, it was like a kind of natural way of using it, because as our students are using tablets and digital devices in the classes, they started to use just by themselves. So the point was to teach or to teach, no other way. We were worried about that, so we thought about a plan for creating and helping our students to lead with this new challenge. And we started to plan a 2-year program, and in this 2-year program, students have to use the AI in a creative way and as well in a safety way. So that's the point where the teachers would like to highlight. So students in year 5 are starting to use it, the artificial intelligence, and they continue in year 6. And we use it in different subjects like English, language, Spanish language, especially in science, that they are with me in this special subject. And as well, in year 5 is mandatory to use to study here in Spanish government, education in values. So in this sense, it was a good subject to start to analyze the use of technology and the use of internet in a safety way for our students. So well, we plan these activities under the future classroom lab methodology, because it's the ones that we are using in the classes, among others methodologies. And this is how I try to organize this presentation, because it's the way, the natural way that we prepare our different learning scenarios. So the first activities that are the most obvious and the more simple that we use is searching activities. So when they have to do any kind of investigation, they need to search that information. So using artificial intelligence is a very quick they use it directly, but the important thing here is to try to help them to find out information that is scientific or historical facts. So, for example, in year 5, the students started to use in a pre-planned way. They have to solve a breakout about the Spanish history, and by the end of the lesson, the students were committed to create a makey presentation with interactive timelines. Yes. So, as we've covered all the path during the learning scenario, they start investigating and they finish presenting their jobs. Then in this year, students in year 6, they have to find out information as we were covering the function of interaction, the vital function. So the first activity that they have to do is try to solve many simple questions about the different systems that were involved in the function of interaction, and they were using a Lumio platform by Smart, because I use it normally in my classes, and they have to search information, and when they have it, they have to share with the rest of the groups and present information to see what we already have discovered. Other things of using the artificial intelligence, in this case, before starting to create, because it's the next step, before starting to create, we have a special project in year 5. This is what I mentioned before. In year 5, the students have to develop a full program where they belong to the ICT assistance program. So they are in charge in the classes to learn all the security rules, all the rules for communicating in a healthy way using internet. So as students have this information, they become, some of them, the volunteers that they want, they become assistants, and they go to year 3 and year 4 of primary education to help other students to use this new technology that they are using in the classes. As I'm not sure if I said before, but in year 3 of primary education, our students start to use devices in the classes always by themselves. Well, we teach them, of course, but it's the resource that we use. So it's important to help them to use them in a safety well. So one of the activities that they have to start to create and exploring with artificial intelligence is, like in year 5, they started to create their presentations about healthy habits. And for that, they have the command of just using or creating avatars or backgrounds using that technology. And in this case, the students used a Canva website with the function of artificial intelligence mode. And then with these different creations that they did, they used them for programming with Scratch some presentations with these healthy habits. And one of the activities that my students have already done in just a few months is that they are using Copilot, as we have license from Microsoft from the Castilla-La Mancha government. So they are participating, or we are participating in an e-twinning project. This e-twinning project is about water pollution, and in this case we are the little one of the project, because most of the students are from high school. So a good point for maintaining their privacy and to be safe, even in a platform that is for teachers and students, is to create their own avatars. In this case, they weren't using prompts. They were creating that in a freeware way. So we started to develop the plan. Is what is the next step that they have to follow. As they are using freely, we started to think about how to create real prompts in a pre-planned in a pre-planned activity, and they were thinking before these prompts were related to creating an eco logo for the tuning project that I mentioned. So once they discover, discuss, and so on, what they wanted to represent with their eco logos, they use, again, the artificial intelligence, in this case as well, different artificial intelligence tools for creating the results that you can see on the screen. And, well, we are using artificial intelligence, so of course it's great, but as I said before, we consider in the school that it's important to help them to think about the possibilities that they have, but the risks that they are getting when they are using it. So on this sense, we were doing another activity that is related with our twinning project that I said, that in this twinning project we are talking about water pollution, so the challenge was students have to solve and resolve the question. It was exactly the same question that you can see in the screen in the 3 languages that we use in the school. So in this, they have to create, type the question in a different AI and in different languages. And as a result, they share all their different findings. So as you can see there in that screen, students were using this kind of resources, but they were with different answers. So in this point, they were asked why we are having different answers, because when we started using information searching, most of this information was just one possible answer. So in this sense, we are thinking and creating a responsibility in our students about what to ask, how to ask, and put into wonder, in questions. I don't know how to say that well in English, but to question what they are having when they are searching for that. So this is our last discover as we are using right now. So in relation with the activity that we said before in the function of interaction, our students are developing different projects in the class where they have to experiment with this function, the vital function of interaction. So the first thing that they did was trying to get a relationship between the function of braining, or the process of learning that we do with our brains when we are babies, and the process that we do with the teaching machine when we are using artificial intelligence. So there, my students are teaching different types of recognizing gestures or different sounds, as you have seen in the coffee break that they were showing to you. And well, this is, well, a video where they are showing what to do and how to train it. And I think it's all.
Thank you very much. And thank you also, for sure. I think it's very refreshing to see what actually happens in the school. And thank you also for reminding us that you're part of that movement that apply the Future Classroom Lab methodology. And in Spain, it's very present and very widespread, the connection and the aulas del futuro, so the classrooms of the future that are inspired by the Future Classroom Lab. And that creates also a community for exchange and peer learning across the different autonomous regions and communities, which I think it's really promising and which we try also to nurture internationally. Thank you very much. I would like to move to Cristina indeed, and perhaps deep dive into that aspect a bit more on questioning and the critical thinking mindset that needs to be brought upon when AI is in the picture.
Yeah, well, hello. As Maria Rosa was saying about questioning, that's what I move on, how to go one step forward when it comes to AI. AI is here to stay. And the kids, in my case, I teach in a primary school from 3-year-olds to 12-year-olds. They have their tablets, they have their phones, and they have their computers, so they're using AI. So why not teach them how to use it in the right way? How not teach them how to go one step forward? Just not the fun thing about creating just an image. Oh, how cool is this cartoon image of myself? Let's be critical and think about how to use it. So yes, when it comes to AI, I'm going to fly through these first parts. There's a lot of benefits in AI for education, because it personalizes learning, it improves engagement, and it gives us feedback. That's great, but how to go one step forward, how to be critical about it. That's the important thing, not to accept what AI gives them, but be like, this is good, but I can make it better. First, well, this is the regular process on how to integrate AI in primary education or any other app or new thing. You show them how to use it, you show them the tools, and then you go forward. That's the key part for me, to the reflection of it. And why do I use AI? Because it helps us to create real-life situations, kind of. As my students were showing you, they were showing you conversations with sometimes fiction characters, but sometimes real people. One of my students is really into football, so he wanted to talk to Gallagher, one of the footballers. And yes, I don't have contacts in those. So what I decided was, let's talk to Copilot and work on it. They know it's fake, but it's a good approach for them to actually talk to a footballer in this case. It gives them a lot of points of view, it gives them different perspectives. They don't accept the first answer right away. They have the option to compare and contrast. For me, the third point, that's key, reflection. Reflecting, thinking, what have I done? Is this good? Is this bad? How can I apply it? It's not just, oh, it's great, AI is giving me this answer. What is next? And as I said, it personalized learning, because each student can be talking, well, he wanted to talk to Gallagher, but the other student wanted to talk to Mary Poppins, and that is impossible. But she did talk to her. But it was a great connection, because you need to adapt your English, you need to adapt what you're asking, and you know it's not real, but it's giving you what you need. So what about critical thinking? Because that gives the extra value to AI. Using AI, anyone can do it, but that gives the extra point. How do we build it? Well, first of all, they need to be aware of what it is. What can I do for it? What AI can do? They need to question the source. They always need to double check where the information comes from. It's not easy to say, oh, this is great if you get Copilot or you get any other chatbot. It gives you everything, but is this right? Let's go to the official source. Verify that information. It is great for me when AI doesn't give you everything. So they need to reflect on, like, what else can I do? Now it's me being creative, being part of my work, and being involved on it. One of the aspects that we really work on is in ethics and bias. Many times there are a lot of things that we need to double check, like in image creation. Not long ago, all the images that were created were blonde people with blue eyes, and that's not the reality of the world. That's a simple example, but we need to be aware of that. When they finish, I love talking and reflecting and talking aloud, saying what we think, what we're reflecting, what we're thinking of that process. It's not just doing it and then we cannot tell them, oh, think what you have done. No, let's put into words what we have done so we are aware. And for that, we need to have a conversation. We don't need a computer in that moment, but that's making AI valuable. And I like to have I call it reflection journals, or even in the notebook. Let's reflect what we have done. Maybe sometimes we can use a graphic organizer, use a pencil and write it down. I love technology, I love AI, but it's also good for the brain to do that following activity. Well, what is the impact that AI has in the process of assessing? It changes the process because we go from product to process. What is more important, the final product or how we have made it there? We value critical and ethical thinking, what it's in there. We need to double check. And they start to be aware of what they need to create, what evidence, what product, what is showing what they have done. It's not a matter of, oh, we need to show off in front of people, but we need to show it off for ourselves and for our teachers to be like, this is what we have done, but what is behind the product that we have created? That is the important thing. For me, a key aspect is also that it's personalized, there's a personalized and formative assessment. Summative assessment is part of what we have to do, but formative assessment gives the extra value. So with AI, we can make sure it's personalized. And they go through the process of self-reflection, peer reflection, and teacher reflection. So going through these 3 steps makes AI valuable. Finally, authentic task. It gives us the possibility, it opens the doors of our classes. I come from Medina del Campo. It's a 20,000 people town, which it's great. It has many things, but we don't have everything. And AI brings us those things that are far away from us, closer to class, and it opens the doors for us. So yes, what I think AI is here to stay. We need to teach them how to use it well, because all of them can go into the tools and just play around and they will create something. But they need to be aware of what they are creating, why they are creating it, and what is the process they are going through. So those are the steps that I use when it comes to AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cristina. We would pass to Enrique to actually see what can be done with AI, how you can manipulate and give it a physical body to an extent.
Okay, in this session, I'm going to talk how to create a machine learning and artificial intelligence in these 5 minutes. I try to connect teachable machine with microbit. And I start from the beginning to move our robot. First, we start programming a robot. We have here our robot, a McQueen Plus with a microbit card, as you know. And the students learn to program with gestures that we can program with other microbits. We use logo down, /dict, logo down, logo up, till left or till right to send this command to our robot. Okay, I can try to, if it's checked, we use a glove for it is work. Okay, sorry. You can see for forward, stop, left, right, and backward. Okay? Stop. Okay.
Technology is made.
Okay. This globe you use it for a musical that we use in our school. One student used for acting, and this is an idea from the student to control the robot remotely. Sorry.
Yeah, switch it off. Can I help you if you need it?
Yeah. Well, then this don't use yet artificial intelligence. The next step is create an artificial intelligence. In this case, we program our microbit to receive via USB cable this number corresponding to our name class. We name the class 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, and simply send to the robot. Okay? We show an arrow according to this movement, and the robot received it. The next step is create our artificial intelligence. In this case, we use teachable machine. Teachable machine is an easy tool from Google in that you can create image model, sound model, or pose model. In this case, we show you how to use pose model. Pose model use PostNet artificial intelligence that detects points in our body, 5 in our face, and in different parts of our body. This blue point that you see here. you only need to try. I like to try here, but it's difficult to here. But I see there are, no, it's on a picture. Okay, and you see the different points in my face, 5 points, in the eyes, in the nose, and the ears, and in the shoulders. Okay, that's what we try. You train the different position, forward, backward, left, and right. Okay, and order to stop the robot because no, it's no stop never. Okay, I try it. Okay, it's in this position we have a model. You export this this model. We have a link in teachable machine, and use this this link to link with micro:bit. Okay, in the next with this tool we can connect micro:bit with teachable machine. I try if I know. Okay. It's okay. This is the micro:bit that I'm receiving the code. The robot is waiting. If I can see here.
Maybe need just hold it.
So let's go. Okay, maybe I'll recheck the page.
Extra credits to Enrique to try it live.
Yeah. Extra points. Yeah, of course.
Really? Okay, I think.
They're very brave.
That can happen.
No?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know why. But, okay. The coffee, you see? But now, okay, one more thing. If not, later in lunch, we can. No?
No.
Yes, I send it?
It's supposed that is.
No.
Okay, stop. Stop is more difficult here. Okay.
That's nice. Very nice. Yeah.
And summing up a little, we create an AI model that you can use pose, image, or song, and you connect via USB with micro:bit. In our case, we send command to the robot, but you can use this tool, teachable machine, or other tools, to connect with micro:bit, making song or different activities that you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Enrique. And the last experience is from Rafael in Asturias. And of course, we decided on this specific one because to give a bit the perception on how actually AI can help making the class more inclusive and supportive to special needs in a way also, and catering for all the students, especially the one that needs the most.
Thank you, Tommaso, and thank you to European Schoolnet and for INTEF for hosting this event. So, first of all, I am really amazed at all the creativity of my fellow colleagues. Myself, I'm a math teacher, and when you speak about math to a group of people, they usually have a very strong reaction. Can be good or bad, but it's never normal mathematics. It's okay. No, it's never normal. That is something that really it's an issue for math teachers. We know what we should do, but the thing is that sometimes it's very difficult because the classroom is not a one-size-fits-all. There are several profiles in the classroom. We usually have extremely good performers. It doesn't matter, you can give them the textbook, they're going to be okay. They don't even need a teacher. Then you have the average student, which usually he or she needs normal lessons, let's say, and then he's usually efficient and is able to reach the objectives, the curricular objectives. But then you also have the low performers, and then you have obviously the special needs. But there is just usually only one teacher in the classroom. So what I'm going to share with you is how I incorporate AI in some of my lessons I'm not saying that this is a best practice, not at all. It's just what I do, and if it's something that you find of interest, that's cool for me. First of all, I would like to share with you this infography that has been recently released by the European Commission. It's on teaching basic skills. And today is the year of basic skills for the European Commission, so this makes a lot of sense. For me as a teacher, sometimes when I see this big research, sometimes I see things that don't make sense to me in my classroom. But this research is something that I really think really is for my classroom. There are several tips and tricks there that I really believe that are true. One of them is that you should use digital tools. That is something that we know it works with some of the kids. And additionally, we have to try to give a personalized assessment. But as I said before, that can be quite difficult when you have only one teacher in a classroom. So what do I do? As I said before, this is not for the high performers or even for the, let's say, the big average student. They are perfectly okay with a normal lesson. They get the mathematics and they do the equations. Everything is fine for them. They never have an issue with mathematics. What I'm talking about here is for the low performers and the special needs. So in one of my lessons, I usually give several lessons, giving the content. We do exercise together. I move around. I see what my kids are doing. But then there is one lesson that I use a learning accelerator. Yesterday, some of you were able to attend the workshop with my students, and you saw the different ways how we incorporate AI in the whole school. We are a school that we have kids from kindergarten to the upper high school, and we use AI in some of our lessons in primary, in secondary, and in the high school. So yesterday you had the option to see some of these, and especially some of the learning accelerators that we use that come with our regional Ministry of Education license for the Microsoft Office. And I'm going to speak a little about the Math Learning Accelerator, which is the one that I use. Teachers, we are always struggling for time. Always. So if you ask a teacher, what do you need? He's always going to say more time. Okay? So this is something that for me is quite nice, because in just a very few steps, I managed to deliver exercises to my kids, which is perfect. So I give my kids in this fourth lesson, this is like, okay, now we are going to do these activities. We have iPads, every one of them has an iPad. So they are, you can see some of my kids, they are the iPad, there they have a task that is delivered inside Microsoft Teams. And then they have this equation that they have to solve, and they have 4 answers. Obviously, it's not a matter of choosing one of the 4. So they have to, in the notebook, they have to do all the equations, and then they, as you can see here, this is what I see. They upload their work on the notebook, and then they choose the equation. So for me, this is quite nice, and it aligns perfectly with this being able to give assessment quite quickly to my students to be able to know if they are struggling with the concepts that we are delivering in the lesson. So this is nice, and let's say that almost 75% of the classroom can do this work on their own. So what happens with the rest of the classroom? Let's talk about the low performers. So low performers, at least in mathematics, from my experience, it's not a matter that they don't know what to do. They know what to do, but in the, let's say that in the path, along the path, they find a moment that they don't know how to go on. They struggle, they make probably the wrong turn instead of the right one. So for them, we use the AI. We give them a very specific prompt. They use the prompt, they put it in the AI that we use, which is the Copilot that comes with the license, and then they have a personalized tutor that helps them along the way. So there you see, it's a very big prompt, so there you see a screenshot, and this is what the kid says. So it's, okay, give me your polynomial. We are factoring polynomials here. And then the student is just entering the polynomial, and then they say, what is the first thing that you need to do? And he goes and put it, and then the system says, okay, go to the next step. And sometimes if there is a deviation, then the system says that it's not okay, try again. So this also works very well with this type of kids. So here we have the high achievers. They're on their own. We have the average students. they're also on their own. Here we have the low performers. They have the AI to help them along the way. So what happens with the special education needs? That I am free in this time, in this lesson, to be able to sit with them and give them the specific support that, at least to my knowledge of AI, I cannot use the AI to give them. So this is the things that we do. It's a matter of, let's say, help me in my delivering my teaching practice to be able to be more efficient and give to every kid what he or she needs in order to be able to get the curricula of mathematics and their objectives. So that's all, and I hope that you seen this good practice and it's of your interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And yeah, that was also the feedback that I've received on some participants conversing with you yesterday and getting this interesting approach, of course, and the advantages it provides to liberating time to follow more specifically certain students. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Christos, please.
Hi. Excellent work. I really enjoyed. I've seen the students presenting the stuff yesterday. My only question is that how do you deal with the kids at the primary level, and especially in regards to having or not students account? With what accounts are they logging into this AI system? Because we're talking about guidelines and so on. So. Give us can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, in my case, we use everything under Microsoft system because that's what our government provides us. And we are aware that with that agreement that our government has, their privacy is kept because they're underage. And then, to be honest, sometimes I use my own accounts in certain things so they don't use their personal data. And also the other AI that we use is Canva because we know it's a safe space. But we really pick the apps that we use according to the safety behind it. And because our government provides us with the Microsoft environment, that's what we use.
The Microsoft environment, it's provided both to students and teachers?
Yes.
Because it's the same here in Cyprus, but in Cyprus they only open the AI tools only for teachers.
Not all of them, but yes, some of them they can use. So we use it with them. We can use the Copilot.
Yeah, in our case, it's the same.
It's the same?
Yeah, they are able to use it because we have the accounts from the regional government, and Copilot is free as well. Well, it's affordable. Yeah, not free.
Yeah. Someone pays for it.
Sorry, not free. Free for us.
Copilot for the students as well, you mean?
Our students,
yes,
as well.
The one on the back first, and then the one on the front. Thank you.
Thank you for your examples. I also have a Copilot question. So in Spain, from what age on are students allowed to use Copilot?
To say the truth, I wouldn't say that we are. I'm not sure if we have a specific age for using it. Not at the moment, maybe in the future.
No, maybe in the future, not so far.
But students in my school, as I said before, they are using the accounts from year 3, so they are 9 years old.
They have
a bit later.
They have the account.
Yeah. A personal account.
The personal account from the school.
Educational account.
From the school.
Educational account.
Is the one that the regional government provide us for students. So they get it when they are 9.
But it's associated to them individually.
With the school, of course, everything. And we have many different people supporting us in our back office.
Okay, thank you. There was another question in the... No? Okay, in this side.
No, just a little remark. It's not in Spain, it's in specific regions, because some of the regions are not allowed to use Microsoft and of course, Copilot. So it's not the whole country, it's part of it. And my question is, what do you think is going to happen when the they start analyzing the use of AI in education. I mean, we are using those tools because the AI Act just enforced a couple of, not a couple of months ago, but a few months ago. But we should, and there is a procedure to analyze the use of AI in education. It says that basically it's a prohibited use or a high-risk use. So what do you think is going to happen when they analyze that in Edtech? If, I don't know, a primary school student is entitled to use
I guess there will be rules, of course, and we will have to follow them, but there will, well, I think if they listen to what we need, there can be a balance between it. And let's take the benefits that AI or other technologies can give us and work with them in a safe space in a way that they learn how to use it. And using AI doesn't mean that all the sessions that we do during the week, we're just next to a screen or next to a computer. It's part of our classes. But when it comes, we'll deal with it.
I consider that we are here with one purpose. So, yeah, I think many people are in charge and they have to worry about the next steps that we have to follow. And right now, we don't have a clear command. We are experimenting. And with these simple activities that we are doing, it's just the first step, but it continues with some rules. We need them. It's important to have a plan and to follow it. So let's do it together. I think so.
Cannot be all in the shoulders of the teachers and the headmasters, of course, but that's a very good point and a very good question raised. There was, the other question.
Hi. Oye, enhorabuena por todo lo que hacéis. Estoy muy impresionado. I'm just saying that I'm very impressed in Spanish, so I just want to know your perspective. You mentioned, some of you mentioned low performers, or how in disadvantaged schools and for these students, how this technology can help them. And I'm wondering, my organization works with these students, and the first step is normally that we need to empower their self-esteem, and it's very important the high expectations that you teachers place on them, because sometimes when we work in these environments, all these robots and stuff, they're like, oh, that's for other kids, but not for me. How important do you believe that the teacher believe and the high expectations on these students? What role do they play, and how do you make sure that the self-esteem of the students can be improved? Thank you.
Thanks. Well, I have students with special needs in the classes, and when I'm planning my classes in the future classroom lab, they are there. So I'm thinking on projects that they are part of the project. So it's the way of thinking. In our case, for example, I don't have free time for sitting with them because we are all together at the same time. Sometimes my helpers are other students. So I try to manage my groups for trying to get those students who have special abilities in one specific command. So imagine that they are very good in communication and they need someone to lead them in communication. So I try to put that students that are controlling this area to help them when they are creating. But always they have part of the responsibility on the common group. And when we are creating something, they have finally to present. So they are in charge of creating one part of the teamwork. Is their challenge, and they have to do it. And by the end, present with the rest of the students as one member more, because he's one member of the group. Yeah. So, yeah. That is the way I work.
Yes, giving them a role, giving them a specific task that they are. That is a challenge for them, but they can still accomplish it. It's key. It's easy to say and it's not simple to apply. But when we give them a task that is going to be challenging because they need to go out of their comfort zone, but challenges that they can get. And when you give them roles and everyone is in charge of a task, they feel important and they know they have to do it and they feel like this is my moment.
Very good. Perfect. There's, okay, just last question. Thanks.
Thank you so much for showing us what you're doing in your classroom. I have a question around how you're being accompanied. Did you get training? Is what you're doing, is the whole school doing this, or is it only you because you're curious? And is there a way to feedback on, because you were saying let's try and see how it goes, but is there a feedback mechanism to feedback what you see in the classroom to the regional authorities?
Mm-hmm. In my case, some of the teachers of my school, we use it. Yes, it started as being curious and like, yes, we like this, let's try. And then our regional government, in our case, provides us with a lot of training that we can go for, and that's how we kind of start learning, and we apply it back into class, and then we can reflect back to the regional government. So yes, I guess it always starts with being curious about it. Being like, yes, I like this, because I believe all four of us use it outside of a school for doing things, and that's the way to start doing something, but we have the ability to also have training.
I used to have one of my mates that nowadays is in the teachers training program of the regional government. She is very amazing when they are encouraging people and involving people in many different projects. So she is amazing in a personal way of behaving. And she used to say always that we need to leave our doors of the school open. And this works. I always left them open. My mates left them open. And when we are going from one class to the other and you check what the others are doing, curiosity among us started to grow. And that makes us a big community where teachers are in the same path. So in my case, my whole school is working in the same way. And that's a good point, because I was saying before, I don't remember who before I was talking that, but if I can do my job in year 5 and 6 is because my students have received the same kind of information, the same kind of training, the same kind of activities and abilities that other teachers have done from the very beginning of their schooling. So this is the point. We need to work all together in the same path to achieve many different abilities by the end.
Absolutely.
So,
and I found that's a great message also to wrap up. We have, of course, to pass to the next and closing session. But I think it was really great to deep dive into your classroom practice. They will be staying with us at lunch, so don't hesitate to go and connect and exchange and continue the conversation also with the students that are showing their tools and products and realization. So that's very, very powerful, I'm sure. And thanks again to Miguel Villa from INTEF to organizing and facilitating the selection and the participation of these wonderful colleagues. So thanks again to Enrique, Maria Rosa, Cristina, and Rafael once again.
Thanks to you as well.
Thank you. And now we are really reaching the end. And if we can get the Atril back on stage, please. Thank you. We would let our hosts, of course, having a first closing word. And I would like to welcome on stage Julio Albalad Jimeno, who is director of the National Institute of Educational Technologies and Teacher Training, otherwise INTEF. Thank you.
As we bring Eminent 2025 to a close, it's a great pleasure to address you on behalf of the Ministry of Education of Spain and to reflect on the significance of what we have been shared during these 2 days. Events such as we have been done in Eminent are not simple valuable, they are essential, especially at a time when artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming education system across Europe. AI is no longer a future prospect. It's already influencing how students learn, how teachers plan and assess, and how educational content is produced, and how systems analyze data and make decisions. This transformation brings enormous potential, but also profound responsibility. AI changes us to think pedagogically, assessment, equity, governance, and ethics, and it raises questions about bias, transparency, data protection, professional autonomy, and the very role of the public education. These are not technical questions alone. They are deeply educational, social, and political. And this is precisely why forums like this Eminent are so important. They give us the time and the collective space to reflect together, to align perspective, and to shape shared responsibilities, response, and these challenges. Over these past 2 days, Eminent has functioned as a space of collective intelligence at the service of artificial intelligence in education. We have seen how evidence, policy, and practice can come together to ensure that AI strengthens learning rather than undermines it. That is support teachers rather than replace them, and that contributes to equity instead of creating new forms of exclusion. The diversity of voices presented here has been one of the greatest strengths of this event. It reflects a shared European understanding. AI in education cannot be governed in isolation, nor can it be left solely to maker dynamics or technological acceleration. Throughout the discussion, a clear message has emerged. Europe must lead in developing a human-centered approach to artificial intelligence in education. This means ensuring that human judgment remains central in education decision-making. It means safeguarding students' rights and privacy. It means preparing learners not only to use AI tools, but to understand them critically. And it means providing teachers and schools with guidance, training, and trust. Education systems need clarity and direction in this transition. Policy has a key role to play in offering frameworks to reduce uncertainty and build confidence. Events like this Eminent contribute directly to that clarity, to fostering dialogue, shared understanding, and mutual trust. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to European Schoolnet for this leadership and continued commitment. European Schoolnet plays a crucial role in creating exactly the kind of collaboration environment that we need to address emerging challenges in education like IA. Through initiatives like Eminent, European Schoolnet helps translate innovation into practice and ensure that the discussion about IA remains connected to the realities of classroom and learners. Spain is proud of being an active member of this network and strongly believe that the value of European cooperation to shape a trustworthy and ethical digital future in education. As we close this edition of Eminent, we do so with a strong sense for continually. The changes of artificial intelligence in education will continue to evolve and must show our dialogue, our policies, and our cooperation. Events like Eminent are not endpoints. They are part of an ongoing process to collective learning and shared responsibility. They help ensure that AI becomes a tool to strengthen public education, promote equity, and support the development of informed, critical, engaged citizens. The Spanish Ministry of Education remains fully committed with this shared European effort. Let me conclude by thanking European Schoolnet once again, to my colleagues of INTEF, as well as the organizers, speakers, and also the participants for your contributions and your commitment. Muchas gracias, que tengáis muy buen viaje, y esto no es un adiós, es un hasta luego. Gracias.
And time really for the formal closing from our chair, the chair of European Schoolnet.
Thank you, Tommaso.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommaso. Yes, as we come to the end of this year's Eminent Conference, let me also begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to our hosts. So on behalf of European Schoolnet, I warmly thank the Ministry of Education, Vocational Training and Sport here in Spain, and in particular our colleagues at INTEF for co-organizing Eminent 2025 and welcome us so generously here in Madrid. And also for hosting us for a very remarkable dinner at an even more remarkable place yesterday at the Casa de Americas. So your collaboration and hospitality have made these days truly special. Let me, as a wrap-up, share with you 3 key takeaways. And the first one is that the real disruption is pedagogical. European Schoolnet just published its policy priorities, its overview of policy priorities and initiatives across 23 of our partnering educational systems. And yesterday in the panel chaired by Constantinus, you could see some of the highlights of this report. And it strikes me that in 21 of those 23 systems, preparing students for digital citizenship and the future labor market is the main driver for AI integration. And that tells us something important. That is that the biggest impact of AI is not the technology itself, but what it asks of our education system, a shift from knowledge to critical, ethical, and creative capacities. Another figure from this report is that it shows that 43% of teachers in Europe do not feel ready to make meaningful use of these tools. And that makes clear for me that the real challenge is confidence, competence, and well-designed support for educators. My second key point resonates with the keynote this morning from Professor Bellas. And that is that although our priority should be primarily on supporting teachers, we also have to talk about the technology itself. There are a lot of tools available, as we just could see here with the teachers panel. But when we shift the lens to education, the limitations of current AI systems become more visible. And many tools promise to improve learning, yet evidence of their actual impact remains weak or inconclusive. And the technological foundations themselves still raise important questions. How are children's data used? Who has access to them? And to what extent are commercial interests embedded in the design of these tools? And these unresolved issues make clear how urgent the need is for truly better tools for schools. And I think one way of realizing this is to build on the results of the European-funded project EmpowerED that comes now to its end. And I'm very happy that also Rihanna referred to that in her video message this morning. As we learned from the parallel session yesterday on Empowered, within this project we have been working to build robust Edtech and trustful ecosystems across Europe, connecting educators, policymakers, startups, testbeds, and the research community. And by leveraging on EmpowerED's network and its open source guidelines and support tools, we aim to embed AI and other emerging tools and technologies in ways that empower teachers. Our goal is to provide testbed environments where new digital tools can be developed, evaluated, and refined. And my third and final takeaway has to do with ethics and inclusion. And this is something that I think came back over and over again during this whole conference. It started with Olli-Pekka Heinonen's keynote, where he highlighted the importance of balancing the promise of AI while also cautioning against a blind adoption without ethical safeguards. And also during the panels yesterday, the importance was stressed of evidence-based implementation, teacher training, and AI literacy for both educators and students. And this underscores also something that Rihanna said in her video message. It underscores the European stand on a more value-driven and critical reception of educational technology, with issues such as data privacy, transparency, and the need to balance technological innovation with creativity and democratic values. So these were my three main takeaways. Prior to this conference, European Schoolnet had its steering committee on Wednesday, the last steering committee meeting of this year, and there we formally adopted our 2026 work program, which sets out an ambitious roadmap, and I really encourage you to read it when it's published. For European Schoolnet and its members, AI is one of our strategic priorities for the years ahead, and that's very well reflected in this new work plan. We will help schools and policymakers integrate AI responsibly, promote AI literacy, and develop strategies for data use and data literacy. And that commitment is already visible in many of our ongoing initiatives. And I give you some examples. The first one is the new working group that has been set up on artificial intelligence and education. And I really believe that the colleagues who are part of that working group will be able to get to know each other better, and it will facilitate the exchange and to learn from each other. So I hope that this working group will have a good takeoff and a good start. We're also proud to contribute to new forward-looking projects such as the ACT AI Academy. And this initiative aims to build a pan-European academy for student teachers, for in-service teachers and school leaders. And its goal is to ensure that everyone in our education system is equipped with confidence, competence, and a strong ethical foundation to make meaningful and responsible use of AI. Before we conclude, let me offer you also a few concrete calls to action. It's a small tradition at Eminent that we release a new edition of our Agile collection of data, and this year this is something that we continue with the latest report on artificial intelligence and school education. I already mentioned it, and it was presented yesterday. But I warmly would invite you to read it, to share it, and to spread it also with your colleagues, so that the insights can reach everyone who is working with data, AI in education and innovation. Secondly, it was already mentioned by Ben, please register for our upcoming seminar on assessing teacher learning in the time of AI, taking place in February. As assessment, as we heard also today, evolves rapidly, the seminar will help us to examine how teacher development can be evaluated in ways that promote reflection and authenticity. AI literacy means little without a solid foundation in data use, data literacy, and a clear understanding of how to use data correctly. So I also encourage you to explore and share the resources from the Agile EDU project. In particular, its guidelines for the effective use of education data and its policy recommendations for responsible data practices. And finally, do make good use of the EmpowerED recommendations that will be published in January from the European Edtech ecosystem roadmap. And these recommendations offer a valuable compass for aligning education policy with Edtech providers and building bridges between education, research, and corporate tech development. Let me also close by thanking all the speakers, all the participants and partners for your energy, your openness, and your commitment over these past days. I hope to see you all next year during one of our many events, and I look forward to the continuing collaboration and inspiring opportunities. Thank you for your attention and engagement. I wish you all safe travels and also already a joyful holiday season. Thanks.
Once again, now the conference is really closed, and time for us to enjoy the lunch and exchange once again with colleagues, students, and teachers. And thanks again for your participation. Very active, responsible, respectful, and very appreciated by the students yesterday and today as well. Thanks.